for sure the Boxo breakdown got to be Eli Tomac this week. Horrible start, as you can see right here. If you're watching, he's on the outside. Take it away.
Yeah, so he's outside of the box. So typically, looks like he spun off the grate, but definitely in front. I saw a photo of his line once he was out in front of the gate. Just a full roasted the rear tire right there. He goes sideways, breaks traction, then comes into the middle of the start there. And then what I don't like, I've talked about this before. Like, see how he's on the outside there. Middle to outside coming in, like you have no option. Typically when anything happens on a left or right hand turn, the chaos goes outside. It gets pushed outside. So if you go back, and I know we've talked about it a lot on the show, myself, Ricky, you, Chad, James, we would never be on the outside there.
There ain't no shot, dude. No way.
That's just how we were. I'm not saying it's right or wrong for us or Eli, but just in that scenario, maybe if you don't want to line up like 3 or 4 from the inside, maybe it's the left side of the tunnel jump, a little more on the inside. I know Hayden did pull a hole shot from the outside, from that exact gate, actually. But everything has to go right and perfect. And you got to get
the risk, right? We were talking about it. Tell our listeners like what we were talking about before we recorded. The risk versus on the outside versus the risk and the result on the inside. Tell them the risk.
I think you have one option when you're out there where Eli started. You have to get the jump. You have to get a good drive out in front of the gate, and you have to pull the hole shot. Now, my theory is when you get up to more on the inside of the gate, same thing. You still got to get a jump on everybody around you, and you still got to get a good drive. But let's say you don't maybe get the best jump. You're able to sneak around the inside. I don't know how many hole shots or lead laps James has come out of the first turn. When you would watch, he would be like 8th going into the first turn, and he would sneak up the inside and he'd come out 1st, 2nd, or 3rd a lot of times. So that's why I don't like being on the outside like that, because if there is any chaos, it typically goes wide every single time. Eli was able to, that he got caught up. He did get stood up, and he came around the turn like, 3rd to last almost. So, yes, I understand that he broke traction. People would say, oh, well, if you didn't have broke traction, outside would have been, could have worked. And it did work for Hayden, but to me, you're opening yourself up to a can of worms. If you don't execute absolutely perfect, you have one option. You're buried in the pack.
I had an opportunity to talk to Rich Simmons, the team manager for that 450 Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha team, and ask him, because like the video that we just saw here on the podcast, did he spin on the grate or after the grate? And indeed, it was after the gate, like you said, like we saw it there on the second shot. And that's all it takes. And that's what I love about your analysis on this RV. And Cody Simmons .23 says, spinning off the start, is it more the rider or the start traction control thing? And I think good. That's a really good question, Cody. I think it's both. I think it's twofold. I think like what RV just explained to us perfectly. I don't think anyone else could have explained it better. When you're on the outside, the risk factor is so much higher, and you have to be perfect. You basically have no room for slip, and if you do, it's game over. It's just a recipe for disaster. And so what happened is it appeared that he got a decent jump, but then he got over the gate, and then the tire just lit up, and then at that point it's all over. It is just absolutely over. There you can see he's way back. He's in the middle of the pack. Then he gets tipped over to the side. Looks like he collided with one of the quad lock Honda guys. I don't know if it was Savachi or maybe McElrath. No, I think it was Cooper Webb. Watch, right? No, he got high sided.
49 is that he got his front tire caught the end of
Oldenburg.
Yeah. But if you go back and watch that, I think Hunter had the jump on him regardless. Hunter had the jump on him, and he was going to chop him off, and he's going to be mid-pack anyways, right? So that's what I don't like about it. If it did not execute perfect, the guy on the right side of you is going to chop you off because he's going to the inside, and then you have to let off. So
I don't like the outside either, dude. Like Cody, like I'm with my man and my co-host RV on this. Like I don't like the outside. I've never been that way. I know that there was a theory and some stats going on. If it wasn't last season, it was for sure in 2023 season RV, to where everyone was playing with that far outside gate. And Eli does go to the outside more sometimes than his competitors do, because the theory is that they don't have to brake as early if they're outside, and that they can sweep around the outside, carry more speed into that first turn. And yes, you can do that. But if you don't get the jump, you don't get the whole shot out of the gate, you don't get that theory, goes out the window.
Yep.
So I think your margin of error is considerably less than starting on the inside. And I think when the series is so start dependent these days, because these guys are so close in time, I'd rather break early for the first turn than.
Well, to put about it this way, if you do go to the inside, right, and you out jump everybody and you get the wheel on everybody, now you're controlling it from the inside versus the outside. Now you might have somebody race in around you, but they're going to come in so hot because you're controlling the inside. They're going to have to go out wide, and then they blow the turn a little bit, and then you sneak up the inside. And if you don't get the jump, you have a second option of staying up the inside, hopefully getting clear, not having, like I said, typically when guys lock bars, when things happen, it goes to the outside of the turn, not to the inside. So you have a little grace there where if you don't get the jump on the outside and you're in the back of the pack and something happens, it's going wide. It's coming out towards you. So that's what I think. I know you think the same. I'd like to see, if we had a crystal ball and say, okay, all of you top 5 factory riders are the ones, let's put you all on the inside, and what happens? I think your outcome is very similar to what we have on the outside. Yeah, those guys are going to be up front.
No doubt. I agree with you. 3 different winners. Talked about that a little bit. In both classes, actually. Hey, is that chai dirty?
Dirty chai.
Dirty chai. I tried to get Curly to get his chai dirty on Saturday morning. He's like, no way, dude. Because he's not a coffee drinker. He's like, no way. Remember, they messed one of mine up. I told him I wanted an extra shot in my chai one time, and they made it dirty like you like yours. He's like, they messed it up. He thought he wanted an extra shot of whatever the chai stuff.
He wanted it more. He wanted it even sweeter than it is. Jeez. Yeah.
I know, right? Maybe he thought they'd put hair on his head. Who knows? I love it. He can't talk back. He can't retaliate because he's not right.